Imagine being stuck in a place where you can't get out of. And whatever you do, whatever you try, you just can't seem to break free. And whatever you do and try, year after year after year, it doesn't change a bit. For a lot of people living in debts, or having debts, or people living in poverty, that's a reality. And as a lawyer, I've been working with people in debts for the last 5 years, and I've seen hundreds of cases of people that are living under the effects of debts. And I've also seen what the effects are in a person's life and for their family. I'll just show you a few examples. I remember a woman that couldn't pay her mortgage anymore because she lost her job. After that, she got sick, so she couldn't work extra hours to pay the mortgage. That led up to a point that they wanted to evict her, but she needed the operation. So as a lawyer, I tried to postpone the eviction to a point that she can clean up the house and take all the stuff away. But during the court case, the judge said that it's time to get evicted. So one day after she got operated, she had heavy surgery. She left the hospital, went to the house, because she's a single mom with two kids, and started packing up. I saw that, and as a lawyer, normally I'm not supposed to interfere, but I saw the situation and I decided to go to the house and start helping her, helping pack some things, because the next day she was gonna get evicted. We managed to get a lot of stuff out of the house, but there wasn't enough time for everything. So a lot of stuff got thrown away. Also family pictures and a lot of stuff. And next to that, so debts didn't just make her lose her house, it also kind of erased her history. That client and that situation deeply affected me and the way I look at debts and the system that we've created. I know another client who got a fine every single 3 months because he didn't insure a motorcycle. A motorcycle which he didn't own for years anymore because it got demolished. But the system didn't register that. So every 3 months he got a fine that got increased, and every 3 months he got another fine. So the fine that started with a couple of hundred euros ended up with 10,000s of euros, and it just kept adding up. The debts affected his health. The man got in a depression, and the man was so stuck and pleaded for help, but the government who was giving out the fines couldn't stop the system because he didn't have proof that the motorcycle got demolished. He came to me, and it eventually took a TV program that showed the case, that led up to a phone call from the government saying, hey, we looked into the case, and you know what, we're just gonna erase all the fines. Just like that. That man got lucky, but for a lot of people and thousands of people stuck with fines that got increased, there's still no way out. And then the last example. I remember a woman that got out a loan, a big loan, because she needed to pay off a lot of stuff. She was a single mom, and although she was paying every month, she felt like the loan wasn't decreasing. Actually, it felt like it was increasing. And for years and years and years, she tried to get rid of that, but it didn't work. Imagine that with the little amount of money that you have, you're trying to support your household, your kids, and trying to pay off something, but for some reason, it doesn't seem to go away. Imagine the stress you're feeling. Well, what happened was she made a deal with the bank where she had a monthly payment that was actually lower than the monthly interest she was paying, but she didn't realize that. So actually, she had a subscription for life. If that happened to a loved one, wouldn't that infuriate you? Just knowing that and looking at the situation? Well, you know what? That person, that woman, she was my mom. So you can imagine that's the way how I felt when she showed me the papers and I looked into it. And that was actually the key moment in my life where I decided that I wanted to become a lawyer and specialize in helping people in debts. Because debts, it's a serious problem. In the city where I live, in Amsterdam, over 20% of all the households are dealing with severe problematic debts. And I just want to ask people in the room here, ask your neighbor, hey, are you in serious debts right now? Just come on, just ask them. You see what just happened? You see what happened? Things got a little bit awkward, right? Things got awkward because there might be people here in serious debt right now and struggling, not knowing how to get by next month. And that's a big problem concerning the topic of debts, because it's still a taboo. And as long as it's a taboo and people are not willing to openly talk about it, it's difficult to really look for a solution. But we do need a solution, because this system of debts, it's built on a premises that if you can't pay something on time, extra costs will be added every single time. I know I've experienced this. I got a letter, I couldn't pay it, or I forgot about it, and I got another one where the costs got increased. Let me just check in this room. Whoever got a letter like that too, just raise your hand. That's a lot of hands. You see, for some of us, we forgot about it. But a big group, it's not that they don't want to pay, it's that they can't. And this system creates extra debts, because if a person can't pay a certain fine, they won't be able to pay the fine if you increase it and increase it and increase it. So people who are in debt are most likely to get into deeper debts instead of getting out of it. That's why I realized one thing, and that is it's really expensive to be poor. I think we need to do something about this system, because it's not just debts. Debts aren't just a commodity. It's a billion-dollar industry. I'll show you one last example. This was a client of mine who got a loan 30 years ago. Things went off well. Things started off good. But at a certain moment, because of life circumstances, he couldn't pay anymore. And he just dropped the ball. And this is what happened. I'll translate it. The top amount, the 42,000, that's the initial amount which he loaned, which he borrowed 30 years ago. Because of him not being able to pay, if you look at the 83,000, that means interest. That's what happened. The interest just got up. It just went up and up and up and up to a point the interest became 83,000 euros. That's double than what he initially borrowed. And he has a debt now of 100,000 euros, which he can't pay off. He's already in his 80s. The bank won't drop the amount, because they're saying, well, this is what you signed up for. And that is why I feel that we need to change the system. We need to look at a different way when it comes to debts. And instead of pushing people down, we need to start looking at getting people up. All the examples I just mentioned, they have one thing in common, and that's that debts didn't just hurt them financially. It hurt them when it comes to health. It hurt to them when it came to housing. It even affected their mental health. And that's something what I've seen the last couple of years, that when it comes to debts, we should look at it more broadly. We can't just look at it as a financial effect, because it works through all life areas. And recent research shows that's actually true. Recent study shows that constant financial stress on a person, it affects the way people make decisions. It affects the way people handle their priorities. It even affects the way that people make choices, basically. So actually what it does is that people who are in poverty actually make choices that most likely won't get them out of poverty, but will get them deeper into poverty. And that's something that we need to realize if we want to change the way we think about debts and if we want to change this system. Because debts isn't just a financial struggle. No, it works through all life areas. And if we can manage to acknowledge that as a society, then I think we can make a step forward. Because what I've seen is that debts are something that we need to look at in all ways of life. I remember clients that because of debts, it affected their health. And that's kind of logically, because if you think about it, if you have less money, and if you go to the supermarket, what food is cheaper? Is it healthy food or unhealthy food? It's unhealthy food. So chances are, if you are in debts, if you're living in poverty, chances are that you'll be feeding yourself and your kids with less healthy food than people who do have the finances. The constant pressure of mails, of letters, of people calling, telling that you need to pay up or else we're going to impound your salary or else we're going to sell your house. That constant stress also leads up to anxieties for a lot of people, to depressions, and people feeling ashamed and a deep sense of pain. I have a lot of clients that don't even open their mailbox anymore. And when I ask them why, they tell me, the feeling I get just putting the keys in there, I can't take that. So I just rather walk past it than open the mailbox. See, because it's created some type of fear. Debts also work deeper when it comes to careers and education prospects. I had the client that said, I want to get out of poverty, I want to get out of debts, and started a new education. What happened was, because of other debts, she couldn't fix it, she couldn't complete it, and because she had kids, eventually she had to stop. What happened was the school sent a letter saying that she had to pay for the whole for the whole class. So she even got into deeper debts. And debts also work deeper when it comes to kids, because research also shows that it creates a generational poverty. Because if you're young growing up in poverty, chances are that you're getting less attention because your mom or your parents, they need to work some way, somehow to provide. It also means that you're getting less healthy food a lot of times. And it also means that the decisions that your parents are making, that's something that's being transferred on you because you're looking at them as examples. So debts and finances deeply affect the society and the way we think. And I think it's time to change. Maybe you're asking, okay, how? Well, knowing this, knowing that debts are a huge problem, it doesn't only reveal the issue, but it also creates an opportunity and a solution. Because what if we start working differently with the way we approach people in debt? And that's something that you're seeing in society where I want to put an emphasis on, and I want to stimulate that, on continuing doing that. Because you have a lot of debt collectors now that instead of sending mails and calling them every single week and sending them letters and increasing the amount, actually what they do now, for example, housing corporations, after there's a debt of 1 month, they send somebody by. They just ring the bell and ask them, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything that you need? A lot of times it doesn't work, but for a few people, it helps them because they can open up and share other areas in life where debts has affected them. So a housing corporation can also help them to redirect them and get them the help they want. If you're a social worker or somebody that's helping with debt counseling, instead of making harsh appointments with people, which they probably won't be able to keep up with, acknowledge that debts aren't the only problem in somebody's life, but look at other key areas. And if you start doing that, you start taking away stress factors in somebody's life and engaging somebody and already positioning somebody to step up and make a transition from debts to a life of financial reliance. And maybe you're in the room and you're asking, well, Don, you know what? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a debt collector. Well, I'm not a social worker. Well, even you can help. Because I know for sure that every single one in this room knows somebody that has problematic debts. And there are certain things that even you can do to even try start improving your community. For example, start breaking the taboo. Like I just shared a few moments ago, it's hard talking about debts because we don't talk about it. I think it's time to start asking people, start opening up about your own situation, but also see and create an atmosphere where people can talk about it. Another thing that you can do is try helping people in the areas where they feel stress. I'm not saying pay every single bill, but what I'm saying is identify the areas where you can help. For example, start babysitting for a friend or a family member so she can take night classes. Start asking your friends how they're really doing and see if they have all the help that they need. You see, you can identify sort of stress areas, and if you take those away, you can help them actually and set them up to become more self-reliant by actually just being a friend or being a good family member. And the last thing, acknowledge that people who are in debts often have difficulties making the right decisions because of the toxic and constant stress on their life. Don't just tell them that they should just work harder. That's what a lot of people do. But as I just explained, that's not the case. It's not just about working harder. It's about setting people up for a life of self-reliance. So I'm very motivated and I'm very engaged to make sure that we look at debts in a very different way. And a lot of clients of mine, they are people in debts. So if I start doing this and if we start enrolling this, chances are I might be out of a job in a couple of years. But you know what? That's okay because I'm focused, because I'm also very excited, and I'm also very energized and motivated to make sure that we change the way we treat people in poverty and in debts. And that's something that I'm motivated about, but that's also something that you can engage in. So I'm saying I'm tired of just mopping the floor. I want to fix the sink. And that's something that you can help with in every single area of your own lives. So final conclusion is that let's be a community, let's help our people, but not just lifting a finger, but make sure that we reach out a hand and make sure we help people get from poverty and debts into a life of financial self-reliance. Thank you.